Okay, so this week I read two books, Beautiful World, Where Are You? And My Dark Vanessa. Okay, so I finished reading Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney, and I'm giving it right now like 2 stars, 2.5 stars. It's not a bad book, but it's just not something that I was looking for when I picked it up. I was expecting something very similar to Normal People, which is very character driven, relationship focused. I thought that's what I was gonna get, but this time with 4 people. So I wanted to see the dynamics. I thought that what I was expecting, based on the back cover, is that they will be interacting with each other for the majority of the story. But actually, it is just mostly the first couple and the second couple actually developing their relationships, and we do have the main character and her best friend. They interact through emails, but I'll get to that in a second. So it's mostly about their separate relationships with each other. And then towards the end, they do get to meet and like eat dinner and become friends. But it's not as deep as I wanted it to be. I did tab it a lot because I'm a chronic tabber. I tabbed every single thing that I have like a thought. So it doesn't really mean that I loved it if it has a lot of tabs. I just want to play with the tabs. I'm going to tell you about the chapters. The chapters are alternating between Alice's side of the story and Eileen, so the two characters, the two best friends. So it tells us the story of what's going on with their lives per chapter, and then the in-between chapters are emails being sent back and forth between Alice and Eileen. So the story chapters are in third person and the email chapters are obviously in first person. So I think I find that very interesting because then I would see what happened in the actual story from the perspective of the narrator, and then they talk about it in the email. So then I would see that Alice or Eileen are actually what they actually feel about what happened during the story. So that's interesting about it. But what puts me off a little bit is the emails, especially the one from Alice, because Alice is an author. She sounds like Sally Rooney. I feel like this is not even a character driven story. I feel that this is a nonfiction book disguised as a fiction book. So there are a lot of commentary inside about social issues like economics, religion, and all that. And I really hear Sally Rooney speaking and not Alice. So that kind of takes me out of the story, and I'm pretty sure it's not because Alice is an author. And then towards the end, it also mentions the pandemic, what happened in 2020, obviously. We all know that. And because of that, I feel like maybe Sally Rooney had this idea of creating this book due to what her thoughts were when she was in lockdown. It didn't feel like something I wanted to read, but the ideas were pretty good. There are a lot of things that I actually like. For instance, I even wrote a quote that says, certain kinds of pain at certain formative stages in life impress themselves into a person's sense of self permanently. Okay, I finished My Dark Vanessa. I tabbed it so much. I had so much things to say in my annotations. Excuse me. This is such a crazy book. Very dark. Search up trigger warnings. It has a lot of sexual, like child abuse between a 15-year-old and a 43-year-old student teacher. That's the relationship. So that is the story. It is about Vanessa, and the title is My Dark Vanessa because the story is really dark. But actually, there's another reason that it's in the book. This is written in first-person perspective, which makes it even more grotesque and disgusting because you're actually experiencing the traumatizing actions as it's happening to her. So actually, the story is in 2 timelines. Back when she was 15 and now that she's like 32. So she's already old. Of course, the 15-year-old, the past timeline tells you how she developed this relationship with the teacher, how it progressed from like the smiles and writing the poems, and then suddenly the teacher touching her knee and stuff like that. So that's the past timeline. The present timeline is more focused on several girls who are coming forward and accusing this man, this teacher, that he has sexually abused them. And one of the girls, they contacted Vanessa and they're like basically pleading her to come forward and tell her story as well so they would be believed. So that's the present timeline. And all throughout reading this, I was very frustrated with the teacher and also with Vanessa, but not because she can help it. What made me really frustrated is that she is still in love with this guy, still attached to him so much that she believes that this terrible thing that happened to them is not just his fault, but it's also her fault as well. And it's also very annoying that the people, the adults that were around her in her life, they did not do a single thing. Even if they knew that something like this was already going on, they had like an inkling that something weird and sinister is going on, they did not do a thing. So that's really terrifying because if adults won't side with you, then who is going to be with you? Who's going to be protecting you if the adults are not going to do that? You know what I mean? So it's such a good read for me. I think it's very realistic. I like the ending. It's not a happy ending, at least for me. It's not a happy ending. But it does have a rather hopeful quality to it, which I think is more realistic for a story like this. The story is gonna grip you, especially when something happens in the middle. It's so frustrating when that happened. Oh, here, I tabbed it. It's not even at the middle. It's like towards like almost half of the book. Something happens and it really will frustrate the hell out of you. I'm sure if you've read this, you know what I'm talking about. So that's it. My Dark Vanessa. 5 stars. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're out there watching my reviews, thank you. And I'm sick, so my voice kind of is different, but I really appreciate you watching this video. So I'll see you again next week with my week 3 of reading wrap-ups. Bye.